In the winter of 1959, deep in the frozen wilderness of the Ural Mountains, something happened that still defies explanation. 9 experienced hikers vanished into a night so cold it could kill in minutes. What followed was not just a tragedy. It was a mystery that has haunted investigators, scientists, and storytellers for decades. This is the story of the Dyatlov Pass incident. They were young, strong, trained. Led by Igor Dyatlov, a skilled and respected student, the group set out on what was meant to be a challenging but achievable expedition. Their goal was simple: reach the remote Otorten mountain and return. They carried enough supplies. They knew the terrain. They documented their journey with photographs and diaries, leaving behind a trail of confidence, laughter, and determination. But somewhere along the way, something went terribly wrong. On February 1st, the group decided to camp on the eastern slope of a mountain known as Kholat Syakhl. In the local Mansi language, it means dead mountain. It was an exposed, unforgiving place, battered by harsh winds and buried under deep snow. Yet they pitched their tent there anyway, perhaps to stay on course rather than descend into the forest below. That night, something woke them. Investigators would later find their tent collapsed, partially buried in snow. But the most disturbing detail was this: the tent had been cut open from the inside, not torn by wind, not ripped by animals, carefully sliced as if the hikers were desperate to escape. And they did escape. Barefoot, underdressed, into temperatures that plunged below -25 degrees Celsius. Why would experienced hikers abandon their shelter in the dead of night, without boots, without coats, without even time to gather their belongings? Their tracks told a strange story. Footprints led away from the tent, down the slope toward a forest about a kilometer away. There were no signs of panic in the tracks, no running, no chaos, just a calm, steady walk, as if they were being guided by something unseen. Days later, search teams discovered the first 2 bodies beneath a cedar tree at the edge of the forest. They were barefoot, wearing only underwear. Their skin was burned in places, their hands scratched and torn. Signs they had tried to climb the tree, perhaps to look back toward their camp or to escape something below. Nearby, the remains of a small fire suggested they had tried to survive, tried to stay warm, tried to make sense of whatever had driven them from their tent. But they didn't make it. 3 more bodies were found between the tree and the campsite. They appeared to have been heading back, as if trying to return to safety. Their poses were frozen in time, faces turned toward the mountain, hands clenched, caught in the final struggle against the cold. The last 4 were not found until months later, buried under snow in a ravine. And what investigators discovered there would deepen the mystery even further. These hikers did not simply freeze to death. Some of them had severe internal injuries, fractured ribs, crushed skulls, damage comparable to a high-speed car crash. Yet there were no external wounds to match, no signs of a fight, no evidence of another group. It was as if an invisible force had struck them with immense power and then vanished. One woman was missing her tongue. Another had missing eyes. Clothing found on the bodies showed traces of radiation. And then there were the lights. Multiple witnesses, including nearby hikers and military personnel, reported seeing glowing orange spheres in the sky around the time of the incident. Strange lights, moving silently over the mountains. So what happened that night? Theories began to emerge. Some believed it was an avalanche, that a sudden collapse of snow forced the hikers to cut their way out and flee. But the evidence didn't fully support this. The slope was not steep enough, the tent was not buried deeply enough, and the footprints remained intact. Others suggested military involvement, secret weapons testing. Perhaps the hikers stumbled upon something they were never meant to see. The radiation, the lights in the sky, Could it have been a classified experiment gone wrong? Then there were more unusual ideas. Infrasound, low-frequency sound waves generated by wind, could have caused intense panic, leading the hikers to flee irrationally. But could sound alone drive people to run barefoot into freezing darkness? Some even whispered about creatures of the mountains, or something not entirely human. But there was never any proof. In 2019, Russian authorities reopened the investigation. After a new round of analysis, they concluded that a type of avalanche, specifically a slab avalanche, was the most likely cause. According to this theory, a layer of snow shifted suddenly, partially collapsing the tent and creating a sense of imminent danger. The hikers, fearing a larger avalanche, cut their way out and fled quickly, planning to return once it was safe. But even this explanation leaves questions unanswered. Why did they not return when the danger had passed? What caused the severe injuries? And what about the missing tongue, the radiation, the lights in the sky? The Dyatlov Pass incident remains a puzzle where every answer seems to create new questions. Perhaps the truth lies in a combination of factors: natural forces, human error, and the unforgiving brutality of nature. Or perhaps there is something we still do not understand. Because in that frozen silence, on a mountain called Dead, 9 people made a decision that sealed their fate. They left safety behind. They stepped into the darkness. And whatever they faced out there, it was enough to make them choose the cold over the unknown inside their own tent. More than 60 years later, their footprints have long been buried beneath layers of snow and time. But the mystery remains, untouched, unresolved, waiting. And somewhere in the vast emptiness of the Ural Mountains, when the wind howls across the slopes and the night closes in, it almost feels as if the mountain is still keeping its secret. Because sometimes, the most terrifying stories are not the ones we imagine, but the ones we can never fully explain.